Hey everybody, welcome to the Confidence Nugget, where we get real about confidence. My name is Kristen, and I am so excited because today I am sitting next to Annie Lazor.
Hello.
Now, I gotta admit, Annie, like when I started this channel, you were one of the first people that I thought of, that I wanted to interview. And the crazy thing is, those of you out there, I don't know Annie. Like, we don't even know each other, but I've heard bits and pieces of your story.
Yeah.
And those bits and pieces really, really intrigued me. And I'm so excited to dive deeper into your story. And I'm also so excited to dive deeper into how your confidence was affected through, it was a pretty bumpy journey, I'm guessing, So I'm excited to dive deeper into that. So I don't want to waste any time. Those out there that may not know you or know much about you, if you kind of want to give a brief summary of your swimming career and kind of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
Yes, for sure.
My name's Annie Lazor. I am a professional swimmer now, and so just a little bit of my background. I'm originally from Michigan, born and raised there. I was pretty good at swimming growing up. I was never, a national champion or anything like that. I was never, nationally or internationally recognized a lot, but I was decent,
Sure.
I was fortunate enough to be able to continue my collegiate career at Auburn, and I swam there for my college career, and I graduated there. I had an incredible experience there. I love Auburn so much, and I love being back down here in Atlanta. Just, it kind of feels like a little bit of piece of home to me. So I loved my experience at Auburn. I loved my time being a student athlete there. And again, like my experience in high school a little bit, I was good in college, but I never won NCAAs. I was never a national champion. I was pretty good in the SEC, but never really the best. And same at NCAAs as well. I was always pretty good. I was always around, the top 8 or so, but I never won NCAAs. I, never really hit that mark really collegiately. And so fortunately, just a few months after my collegiate career ended at Auburn was the 2016 Olympic trials. So I was kind of able to, swim a few months after my collegiate career and just kind of see where it went because, weirdly enough, even though it's 2019 right now, even 3 years ago in 2016, like professional swimming wasn't really what it is even now. It's taken leaps and bounds in the last couple of years, which is just so exciting.
Oh yeah.
So I was already on the national team. Thankfully, I kind of broke through long course the summer before and made my first national team. And so I kind of thought, why not? Let's swim a few extra months, go for the Olympic trials, and let's just see how it goes. I thought I had a pretty decent shot, being on the national team and stuff. And unfortunately, just a couple months after my NCAAs and a couple months before Olympic trials, the only coach really that I had been training with my last 2 years at Auburn and really kind of started to improve a lot under, he took a coaching job somewhere else right before Olympic trials. And for me personally, my club team growing up was small, and I was decent, but I never really had that connection with a coach that a lot of other people that I felt like a lot of other people had, you know. And so I didn't really have that excellent connection with a coach until really I had this coach my junior and senior year at Auburn. So not only from a just a straight training aspect of things, I was losing a coach, but I was also losing a mentor, and I was losing, really just mentally the person that I really thought, like, this is my guy, that's going to put me on, the Olympic team. And, of course, like, a good coach will always tell you, like, the swimmers are what makes the coach look good. I feel like I didn't give myself enough credit. Like, I worked really hard, and so, it wasn't just him that helped me, but, mentally I thought, like, this is my guy that I want, like, behind me to hopefully put me on the Olympic team, and then that was just taken from me within, one little team meeting, and I was crushed, just absolutely crushed. And I thought I was really mature, and I thought, you know, I knew what I was doing, but just emotionally, like, I didn't really know how to get out of that. You know, it was really, really difficult for me. So, you know, leading up into Olympic trials, I made a coaching change and I made a move. And while that was a great move for me, and I learned so much in the couple months that I swam for David Marsh at Swim Mac, you know, I just don't think emotionally, even if I had stayed at Auburn or even if I had gone to Swim Mac, you know, like, it was always kind of I wonder what would have happened if this situation happened or this situation happened. You know, like, there was always just these questions, and you know, leading into Olympic trials, I just wasn't in the mental space to, you know, be all in and focused on one thing. I just felt like I let all of these distractions get to me because I wasn't that mature, you know, and I had never dealt with anything like that before. Such a like heavy disappointment, you know, that I couldn't really control the physical aspect of it, but I didn't realize how much I could have controlled the emotional aspect if I knew how, you know. So that being said, you know, I went to Olympic trials and I swam fine. I finaled in the 200 breaststroke and I semi-finaled in the 100 breaststroke. I missed the Olympic team. I didn't make it, and I didn't have my best swim, which again kind of led me to afterwards all of these, you know, what ifs. Like, what if my coach hadn't left? What if I had stayed at Auburn? Like, what if I had done this differently when I moved to Charlotte? Like, what, you know, I was just left with so many questions and just really confused and just really kind of felt like a little bit betrayed by the sport a little bit. You know, I just kind of felt like, you know, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. Like, why wasn't it meant to be? Like, why did all of this happen to me? Now, you know, it obviously wasn't the end of the world, but to me in that moment, it was.
Of course.
You know, so it was hard. And that being said, like I said earlier, pro swimming wasn't really what it is even now a few years ago. So given that I had also just graduated and finished my collegiate career, I just kind of was like, all right, I guess that's kind of it for my swimming career. Like, I didn't really put like a firm period on it. I didn't really go out and say like I'm retiring or anything like that. I just kind of thought, well, like, I had my shot and I swam my 4 years, and I guess it's time for me to move on and do something else, you know? So I finished my degree at Auburn in December. I worked a little internship that I had to do upon graduation in Auburn during that time. Graduated in December, and then I didn't swim at all, and I got a real world job in California. I ended up working in the athletic department at Cal Berkeley.
Okay.
I worked with Dave Durden a little bit, which was amazing, and just really was an awesome way to kind of stay connected a little bit in the sport, while also learning so many other things and so many other aspects of the athletic department, which I'm so grateful for that experience. But I didn't swim at all. I didn't really, you know, want to. I didn't really think, you know, there was a place for me in the sport really anymore. And so, you know, before I moved out to California, I ran into a girl who was a bit older than me on my club team back at home during Christmas, and she and I were talking, and I looked up to her so much growing up. And she kind of just told me, like, we were talking about my swimming career and stuff, and she just said, you know, Annie, like, I know it's not really that like common right now, but like I think you should give it a year, and if there's any part of you that wants to keep swimming, like I think you should. And I was like, really? Like, I mean, I was good, but like I wasn't an Olympian, I wasn't a world champion, you know, I was never making the major international teams. So you know, I felt like it might be kind of weird if I did that. People might think, like, that's weird, you know? So here I am, of course, still being immature and thinking what a million other people probably aren't even thinking of me, but I'm putting these preconceived notions in my head, of course. And I was like, okay, like, you know what, you're right. I'll give it a year. I'll see what happens, you know, whatever. And I, you know, while I really, really enjoyed my time in the real world and working and all that, about a year or so came around, and I was offered a promotion at my job, which was awesome. And it was also around that year benchmark, and I was kind of like, all right, like, if I take this job, like, that means I can't, this is it. Like, this is the decision. And so, I actually, as close as I am with my parents, I love my parents so much. I didn't really talk to them that much about it. I kind of kept my cards held closer to my chest because I didn't know, I wanted the decision to come from me. I didn't want it to come from anyone else. And so, really the only person I talked to was my old coach that coached me at Auburn, and I was kind of like, do you think I can do this? Do you think this is possible? Would you even want to coach me? Like, I'm so out of shape. Like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, Annie, like, I think if you're even thinking about it, like, I think you know your answer. And he goes, and you always have a place here. Like, I really care about you, and I've always seen this in you, and if you want to make this work, then I will too, and we'll figure it out. And I was kind of like, okay. Oh, it was petrifying to make that decision. I remember like sitting in my bed, just like almost shaking, like not knowing what to do, because like the one thing that it came down to was like, what are other people gonna think of this decision that I'm making? And it's like, why do we do that? Like, why? So it was just, but I was like, you know what? Like, he's right. Like, if I am even thinking about this decision, I have to go with the right now and what I can do right now, because, what he said to me is, Annie, you can work for the rest of your life. Like, and this is coming from a guy who also, he won an Olympic gold medal here in Atlanta back in '96. So he knew, elite swimming at that level, and then going into the real world and working. And he was like, Annie, like, you need to look at, like, what are you going to think 5 years from now if you don't make this decision? Like, what are you going to think about? Are you still going to have those what ifs that you've had? And I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, I've already been having these what ifs for the last year. Right. So am I going to have them in 5 years? Yeah, probably. So I think the decision was by no means, it looked physically easy from the outside, but mentally certainly not. And so I was super petrified, and I packed up my things and I left California. I moved to Pittsburgh, where my coach is now, and I got back in shape there for a little while. He and I kind of both decided that I should be in a place with other pros and other post-grads. And so he and I worked to get me into the post-grad group at Indiana University. And the coaches, one of the coaches that was there fought really hard for me to be there. He kind of saw potential in me, even though I was still kind of like not that in shape yet, like still kind of getting back into it. But he, loved my work ethic when I was there for like a week, and I kind of tried it out and stuff, and he fought pretty hard for me to be there. So eventually they let me come, and I've been there for it'll be 2 years in April now, so a year and a half to 2 years. Okay. And I guess it's kind of just taken off since then, and I've had success that I could have never even imagined when I made this decision to start swimming again 2 years ago.
So let them know what that success is.
Yeah, so since then, so I moved there in April of 2018, kind of got a little bit more back in shape throughout that summer. And then in July of 2018, I placed third at U.S. Nationals, and that was maybe I've been swimming for less than a year again, and I got third at Nationals. I won a best time in the 200, which I was not even, I had no really expectations set. So that was above and beyond anything I could have imagined. It was faster than I went at Olympic trials 2 years before. It was faster than my best time, so I was like, okay, this is like kind of working out. And I think kind of having that mentality was great too, and I'll get into that later. But so after that, that qualified me for the Short Course Worlds team in December. Kind of also again kind of went into it being like, all right, like let's just see how this goes. I'm not really supposed to be here right now, so like let's just see how it goes. I ended up winning Short Course Worlds in the 200 breast, which was super exciting, and was kind of like the benchmark of like, okay, like I can really do this, hey, like this is kind of working out. Yeah. So and then that just started a huge momentum shift, I think, for me going into 2019. After that, I started, which I haven't done since I was maybe like 12. I started going like best times at like every pro swim. I was able to like win a few pro swims over the course of the year, and I qualified for the Pan American Games as well. And throughout the course of last year, I decided to rest for the pro swim in Bloomington, just to see like what I could do like in my home pool and stuff. I ended up going a time that at the time was number 1 in the world, and then throughout the end of the fiscal year, I ended up being number 2 in the world in the 200 breaststroke and number 3 in the world in the 100 breaststroke. I won 3 gold medals at the Pan American Games, and it just ended up being so much more than I ever could have like imagined or asked for or hoped for coming back to the sport. So it's been a really exciting last 12 months or so. But
I'd say so.
It's been really exciting.
And you know, as you're talking, I'm thinking it was that moment where do I take a risk and start swimming again?
Yeah.
And risks are scary. We all know risks are scary, but I've heard this over and over in stories of successful people is it took a risk to get to where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, it's so easy to say now, like, oh, it was so worth it. But, you know, like in that year or so where I was still getting back in shape, I had more moments where I told myself, why are you doing this? Like, you're not swimming fast, you're not training fast, you're out of shape. Who knows how long it's going to take you to get back into shape? Yeah. And even when you do get back into shape, is it going to turn out okay? Like, is it going to work out?
Sure.
Is it going to be, are you going to do what you wanted to do in the sport? Like, I had more of those thoughts so much more in the first year that I started swimming again than anything else. And, you know, it really taught me patience. 100% it taught me patience. I am notoriously a very impatient person. Like, I need something now, I gotta do it now, I gotta be on time, you know, whatever. And you know, it really taught me to be patient with myself because you know, I was doing everything I could do, you know, and so it just kind of, it really taught me, like, hey, physically, like, your body's not there yet, and it's kind of not up to you mentally where your body is physically. So you need to be patient, and you need to know that, like, you will get there. It's just not right now. You know?
Yeah. See, I'm every video I do, I know I'm going to end up saying this, but it really does keeps taking me back to having a conversation with Elizabeth Beisel, and, you know, her saying the reason she lasted as long as she did, you know, 3 Olympics is because she started giving herself grace.
Yes.
And she started to understand that her best was going to look different on different days.
Oh, yeah.
And giving yourself grace and knowing that your best in that day is enough.
Oh, yeah.
But we as women, it's never enough.
It's never
right?
enough.
And enough is such,
never.
If you have that word going through your mind, let it be a trigger word. Enough.
Yes.
So to give yourself grace and to give yourself patience, I mean, it's so funny because I was just having this conversation the other day. I feel like that and knowing what's best for you, right, is really what takes a caterpillar into a butterfly.
Yes.
And that's exactly, I mean, this is the perfect description here, sitting right beside me of that. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's just, you know, you're in just a position where you kind of have no choice, you know, and I still struggle with that every day, you know, like getting into the small technicalities of swimming. You know, I'm a breaststroker, and that means, like, for the most part, for most breaststrokers, that means, like, you're not really super great at the other 3 strokes. So, like, when I'm in training and stuff, you know, I find myself on most days of the week, I don't swim breaststroke every day, you know, so on most days of the week, I'm not winning everything, you know, and so especially when I first moved to Indiana, it's such a strenuous program. I had to even give myself grace even now to this day, you know, like, I still to this day am like, I'm not winning everything. And, you know, again, I train with, you know, a world record holder, Lily King, every day, you know, so some days she has great days and some days I have really great days. But, you know, the days outside of the days where I have great days, I'm saying, like, hey, like, you're doing what you need to do.
Yes.
Like, not to sound overly selfish, but, like, it's true. Like, with our emotions and with our own self-talk, we have to be selfish, you know?
Yes.
So it just, I still work on that every day, you know, just getting out of the pool and just being like, well, like, you know, I was definitely not the fastest one today. And, you know, you just have to teach yourself, like, that's fine. Because if you know that that was the best you could
Yes.
do today,
Yes.
then you've taken something out of today. Or if there was even one little thing that you got better at today,
Yes.
then that should be overwhelmingly the thing you should focus on. And honestly, that's what got me through my first year of coming back to swimming, was just like, okay, I am swimming really slow right now, and I am nowhere near where I was this point last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, you know? So what can I do today that I didn't do last week?
Yeah.
What can I do today? What did I get better at today that I couldn't do last week or last month? You know, like what improved today that made me take a step forward? Not looking at like, oh my God, I'm 50 steps back than where I was last year. It's like, no, maybe I am, but I'm 2 steps forward than where I was last week. So I cannot stress how helpful that was to me in my year coming back from swimming, given like I said earlier, all of the negative self-talk. Why are you doing this? You're so out of shape, you know, and whatnot. It's like, okay, yes, but where did I get better today?
Yes.
And that was like, that is really what kept me going every single day. I can't stress that enough.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone out there, did you just hear that? Like, let that sink in. Rewind and listen to what she just said again. Because honestly, I have never met someone who has, you know, gone from the caterpillar to a butterfly, who doesn't use the word selfish.
Yeah.
And selfish, you know, kind of has a negative connotation to it. I like self-care. It's
Absolutely.
really knowing
it really
what's
is.
best for you. It's not really selfish.
Yes.
It's just doing what's best
Yes.
for you.
Absolutely. And what your brain needs and what your soul needs. You
Yes.
know? It's just
Yes.
like feeding, you know, it's the same way you nourish your body for health as far as eating fruits and vegetables. It's feeding your brain and your soul for you know, being able to smile through the end of the day and being able to say like, I did this and I couldn't do that yesterday, and like I got better here and here, and you know, like that's not at all what it was like last week, you know. So it's just like focusing on little things where it's like, okay, overall today like maybe wasn't what I wanted, but this little part was amazing. It's kind of like you have to reverse. Like I love seeing like this quote all the time. It's like, did you really have a bad day, or did you have 2 minutes of a day that were bad that you let cloud your whole day? I feel like you kind of have to flip that and say like, okay, like did I have 2 minutes of a really good day? Yeah, I did. Then today's a good day. You know, like I love being able to like flip that quote and say like, okay, like maybe overall today wasn't a great day, but these 2 minutes I was awesome, and like this is what I really improved on today, whether it's, you know, as a person or as an athlete or as a student or as a, you know, whatever it may be, you know.
I would love to dive a little bit deeper into some of the fears that you were feeling, because again, this is why I do this channel, because everyone experiences fear, but everyone also thinks they're the only one experiencing fear. And I want everyone to know, like even your heroes, even the people you're watching on TV racing, they have fears and doubts too. So let's go back, because I know probably through the progression of your career the last couple of years, fears have changed a little bit. So I want to go back to the moment you took a risk. Right? Because I always say when a what if enters a woman's mind, we always go worst case scenario.
Oh my gosh. I go worst case scenario anyway.
Yes.
Like, it's so bad.
Always. We never go best case scenario. We never think, what if this is the greatest moment of my life?
Yes.
You know, we never do that. We go worst case scenario. So let's go back to that moment that you decided to take a risk. And you moved to Pittsburgh. Give me some of the what ifs, some of the thoughts, some of the fears and doubts that you were having in that moment.
Oh gosh, where to begin? Well, you know, my first thought / fear was, you know, seeing like some of my like friends or competitors or whatever it may be, like for the first time, like back, you know, in competition, and, you know, seeing that like I'm not super in shape and like I'm swimming really slow. I'm like, is everyone going to be watching me and like seeing how slow I'm swimming? Like that's going to be so embarrassing. Like I just didn't want to be embarrassed. Like,
we don't like to be embarrassed as women.
I feel like that's what that's what drives fear, is embarrassment. Like,
Right.
I firmly believe, for me personally, I firmly believe that. So my biggest fear was like, what are people gonna say? What are people gonna think? And what are people gonna think when I go really, really slow at my first meet back? Like, are they thinking, why is she doing this? Why is she here? Like, she wasn't even like that great when she retired. Like, why is she still doing this? You know? So that was my first fear, first and foremost. My second one was, what is this like college team, this up and coming college team that's still kind of like getting into the realm of like really top tier elite swimming? What are they all going to think of this random 23-year-old girl that's coming to train with them, that's like not really in shape, and like, you know, like, what are her goals here? Like, why does she want to come here? So many of my fears were driven off of embarrassment and other people.
Of course.
Which are like two things that you can't control,
Right.
you know? Like,
right.
So it's all of these things that like I feel like I couldn't like have a firm grasp on, which is so like me. Like, I like to be like in control and knowing what I'm doing, like as most of us as women do.
Sure.
And, you know, another thing, which was something I thankfully could control a little bit more, was like, how am I going to have a living off of this? How am I going to make money?
Sure.
How am I going to, you know, afford an apartment when I'm just swimming? You know, like, this is like kind of a full-time job, like mentally and physically and emotionally draining, just like a regular job. Like, how am I going to do this? You know? So, but you come to learn, like, you have so many more people in your corner than you think, and you really find out like who is truly like for you in the moments when you really need like people to say, hey, like, I know you don't believe in you, but I believe in you.
Yeah.
You know, so I had so many people in my corner that like really truly believed in me. I had my coach help me with some job opportunities while I was in Pittsburgh and able to make some money, and doing some club coaching on the side, like truly like hustling, you know, like really, really hustling. And so you know, that was it. I made ends meet, but somehow I ended up making ends meet, and I was able to train and work and make some money and make a living. And, you know, thankfully my parents were super supportive, and I had my college fund saved up from thankfully getting a scholarship in college and stuff. So that helped me a lot. And yeah, those were all really my main fears, kind of jumping back into it. And making the decision to swim anyways didn't mean that those fears just went away. It didn't mean that I didn't care about those fears. It didn't mean that those fears still didn't pop up on a daily basis.
Of course.
You know, they were still there, but I still decided to override any of that and just make the decision anyway. And if those fears kind of popped up, I would just say, well, you've already made this decision. So, you know, whether or not you care about these fears, like, they're going to be there. And, you know, whether or not you like it, you know, you've already made the decision to swim.
Yeah.
So
you're stuck.
So basically, I mean, it was terrifying, but and to have those thoughts every single day, especially during bad days where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, swimming is exhausting right now. Like, I haven't done it in so long, and I'm so out of shape. Like, what are people gonna think, like, when I come back? And, you know, it was just so driven on like my embarrassment from other people and judgment and thought from other people, which are just things you can't control, you know? So, yeah, that was kind of the main drive behind the fear. You know?
I mean, killers of women reaching their dreams, not reaching their dreams, going for their dreams, is worrying about what other people think. And let me say this, I have never met a female Olympian that has not gone into the Olympics thinking, what if I embarrass myself in front of millions of people?
Oh, yes.
We are so afraid to embarrass ourselves. And I think that the more we can speak truth to it, can we move forward from it. So huge.
Absolutely.
But I want to move forward now, because as I always say, like, as you get better, even though it's so fun and exciting, it adds pressure.
Oh, yes.
A lot of pressure. So talk to me about the pressure, the fears and doubts now that you are one of the best in the world and you have a really good chance getting goosebumps.
Yeah,
and I don't want to scare you because,
no, it's okay.
But you have a very good chance. I mean, that's the truth of making the Olympic team. So talk to me about that pressure and the what ifs going into trials.
Yeah. So let me step back. I feel like one of my biggest drives towards my success last year was I had a little bit of confidence in me, thinking like, hey, like this is like kind of working. I went at best. I've been going best times, and then I went to Short Course Worlds and I won, and I was like, all right, like this is kind of my career now. Like I'm making it work, and I think my driving force towards my success last year was just how little I thought about things, which is crazy to think, but I would go into every pro swim and every meet just kind of saying like, all right, let's see how this goes. Like, I'm not really supposed to be here right now, and so the pressure's not really on me to swim fast. Like, so, not that I don't care, like, I do, but, the pressure's not on me to swim fast.
Sure.
So I was just kind of like, all right, like, let's see how it goes. Like, and if it goes well, all right, cool, next one. Like, let's move on.
Right.
So that was I feel like that was my driving force of success last year, is just how much I simplified it, and going into this year, obviously it's much different now, given the success that I had last year. But I just really hope that I can just hold on to that train of thought this year. It's so funny because I have we have another new coach here at IU this year, and he kind of sat me down and we had a first meeting, and he's had some great success with Olympic athletes. He coached Leah Smith and a few other like really top level athletes, and he was one himself as well, and he just kind of asked me what the secret was to my success last year, and I kind of told him like that was it. And so he goes, I want to do everything in my power to make sure that like you still keep that train of thought, because it can be really scary when you're like, holy crap, like now I'm the one everyone's looking at.
Sure.
Now it's me. Like last year my drive success was I was kind of flying under the radar, and now I am the radar.
Right.
So it's it's scary, and so he just said like, I want to do everything in my power to make sure to remind you of that like even still a year later, like after you've had all this success, and this clearly is like what you were meant to do right now, like you still made one small decision that put you here 2 years ago. Like you're still not supposed to be here right now. So he goes, I want to make sure I do everything in my power to make sure that we don't lose sight of that train of thought, because you got to tell yourself all the time, like, hey, like I'm playing with house money right now. Like I made the decision to, not do the social norm and just go and work and I still, have a great opportunity to do something awesome in something that I just wanted to do for fun and just see what happened.
What would happen.
So he goes, I want to do everything in my power not to take away from that. And when he said that to me at the time, I was like, well, okay, I still kind of feel like that. But now that we've been getting into competition and, the ISL and stuff like that, I haven't been winning all of my races, and I'll talk to him afterwards being like, oh, like I hate losing, whatever. And, because we're all competitive, and he just goes like, it's okay. Like you're not supposed to like losing, like that's fine. But like, we got to keep that mindset of like, you're just playing with house money right now. Like you're just like, you're in a spot that no one thought you would be in, I think, including yourself.
Sure.
So we got to keep that in mind, So when he said that to me at the time, I thought, okay, that'll be easy. I'll just keep doing what I was doing. But, the pressure adds on to you more than you consciously think it does. So I think that has been my main, I guess, fear this year is like, am I going to lose that? Like, am I going to lose sight of where I was mentally like all of last year, because now I'm in a different position? And not only am I in a different position athletically, but also, there's a lot of trials and tribulations that come with the Olympic year. It's a big, daunting, scary thing that we all are shooting towards.
Sure.
And, you know, like, am I going to be able to keep that frame of mind while still being focused and being serious and being able to, you know, get the job done and do what I want to do and see this, you know, success. So I feel like that's been my biggest fear since I don't want to say post success, because hopefully I have more coming this year, you know, but that's been my biggest fear so far this year.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to fears, I wish that I could give everybody this magical equation to make them go away, and you won't feel pressure and you'll feel great and yay, I'm here. It doesn't work like that. No. The only remedy that I found for fear is to speak it out, get it out, because when we keep that fear in, I always say it becomes like an anchor.
Yeah.
And we go to take a step forward into our potential and we can't move. But when we speak it, you know, and get rid of that, and we're open and honest, and there's nothing to hide, right?
Absolutely.
The anchor's gone, and we can really move forward, you know, toward our potential.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So keep talking. And even journaling, too. I've met a lot of people that journal. But in the last 2 or 3 days, I've had several conversations with clients, because I feel like so often when we have a goal, okay, here's my time, especially with times, okay, I have a goal of I want to go this time, or make the Olympic team or whatever. We have these goals and they're so beautiful and we should be taking care of them, and instead of taking care of them, we go and we
have to have
absolutely
it, we crush them instead of like,
you know, instead of just open hands. You know, I don't know what's going to happen because I'm not a fortune teller. I can't predict. But I do know I'm going to work my butt off. I do know I'm going to give my best. I do know I'm going to give everything I got. Like that. Does it take the pressure away? No, but it takes a little bit off your shoulders.
Yes,
you know?
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I just having that mindset of, you know, like, this is an awesome opportunity that I have in front of me just to be in this scenario. So, you know, whatever happens to me this year, like if you had told me, you know, this time last year that I would be in this position now, like even this time last year, I probably would have called you crazy.
Sure.
So, you know, like how I keep vocalizing it, because hopefully it'll really start to help me believe it, you know? I just look at the situation that I'm in right now and the pressures that come with it, but also the exciting opportunities that come with it, and, you know, the success that I've had in the last year. And, you know, I just look at it compared to where I started, and I just have to tell myself, like, how could I be upset with anything that happens at the end of this year? Like anything that doesn't happen exactly the way that I want it to happen, or if there's a certain goal that I don't reach, like, how could I be upset with anything that I've been given throughout this process? You know, I've given a lot, and I've been given a lot more in return.
Yeah.
So, you know, I truly hope that I can continue to speak that out, because, you know, that's not meaning to say like, oh, just like, you know, whatever happens and like that's fine. Like, no, of course, like I deeply am passionate about this goal, and I want this goal, which might, you know, make, you know, having failure be even more terrifying, because that means you care about it, you know. But you know, at the same time too, I can't help but just look at, you know, where this journey's taken me, and just kind of say, like, you know what, like, obviously I have this big goal in front of me, and it will just be a life-changing opportunity if I make this goal. But if I don't, like, it will be devastating, of course, because I care, but how could I be upset even with the opportunity to chase this goal? Because who would have thought that this time, even last year and a couple months ago, like, that I would even be in this position to say, like, hey, I have a really great shot to make the Olympic team and to win an Olympic medal. Like, I would have never thought that. So how can I, you know, be devastated and be upset if you don't reach your goal? Like, that's fine. That means you care. But, you know, like, at the same time too, just say, like, that means you put everything into it.
Yes.
And it might sting a little bit more when you put everything into it, but that just knows that you're probably going to have another goal down the road that you're going to achieve and you're going to crush, because you know exactly what you need to do to reach that goal.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
love it. Yeah. But it sounds, as you were just talking, gratitude. Yes. Gratitude is what's keeping you grounded.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just, I've had so many people in my corner, just kind of help me a little bit on the way and give me little opportunities along the way that have just, whether it be, financially or, coaching or, athletically or mentally, whatever it might be, or just, friends and family, like, that have all just, like, when I decided to start swimming again, they didn't even bat an eye. They said, okay, like, let's do it. They were way more confident in me than I was in myself. So, and that's not to say they were thinking like, oh, she's going to make the Olympic team. Sure. But, they were just undoubtedly in my corner because they all love me and care about me, and they want to see me do what I love and have success doing what I love. So, I just couldn't be more thankful for the people that have, both joined my journey and that were there from the beginning, because, I know all those people are there for a reason, and I certainly wouldn't be here by myself. So it's just overwhelming gratitude just to like be here in this situation and just like be given all these people in my path has been like really, really, really exciting.
Yeah. Well, gosh, the wisdom that is coming out of you, really. And I know for swimming, you probably feel like one of the older ones at 25, but as a 45-year-old, she's young to have this kind of wisdom. So I hope all of you are really taking this in, because what helpful information to have a successful career, a successful life, a successful relationship. But I mean, all of these things go into it. So I can't thank you enough. As you guys know out there, I always like to close the show with my guest giving a nugget of wisdom, something that you've learned along the way that maybe out there, those listening can get a benefit from.
Yeah, so I know I said it before, but I feel like this is kind of like my personal thing that I always looked at, especially, when I was coming back to swimming and there was really like not very many great things to look forward to at the time, So I know I said it before, but I think my personal thing that helps me so much is kind of taking that quote that's like, did you have a bad day, or did you have 2 minutes in your bad day and make your entire day bad? I like to say like, like overall my training day, it wasn't great, but did I have 2 minutes in my training day that was really great? Or 2 minutes in my day in general? Like, did I, have an awesome conversation with a loved one that I really care about that just made me feel really good? Did I, whatever it may be, like, did I get a lot better in this aspect of training today, even though the rest of the practice probably wasn't that great, but this part I really focused on and I was better at this today than I was yesterday? Like, did you have a bad day, or did you have 2 minutes of a bad day? Or, okay, did you have a not great day, but I had 2 minutes right here that was awesome and I got better today and I can take that moving forward. So that's kind of my little confidence.
And be grateful for it.
Yes, and be grateful for it, and just be patient with yourself, because those little, like, for lack of better word, those little nuggets will kind of help you move forward.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, like, today overall wasn't great, but I did this during this part of the day that was awesome. And that's what I can take into tomorrow.
That's what the confidence nuggets are all about. Absolutely. Giving yourself credit. Well, I'm a fan. I'm a really big fan, and I'm going to be cheering for you like crazy.
Thank you.
I think you're absolutely amazing. So thank you for
being here. Thank you for having me. This was so awesome. I love, just talking about stuff like this and meeting just super inspiring women like you, and just
thank you,
because you just, all you want to do is just, radiate this positivity and this confidence to other women, and I just think we can't have enough of that.
No, that's for sure. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.